Jaguar is known for its audacious sports cars like the F-Type and beautiful luxurious sedans like the XE, the XF, and the XJ. But when it comes to crossover SUVs, well, they've been off the radar. Well, finally, it's time for some of the Land Rover love to come over to the Jaguar side of the showroom. Hi, I'm Marty Paget. We're here in the beautiful Balkan country of Montenegro for our first drive of this, the 2017 Jaguar F-Pace. It's the first SUV from Jaguar ever, but can the F-Pace put great road manners at the top of its priority list and still make itself what Jaguar calls its most useful sports car? Well, it all starts with styling. The F-Pace may have an awkward name, but there's nothing awkward about the way it looks. It's a handsome SUV that fits right in with the new XF and XE sedans. The sleek side view is pure crossover, but the details are pure Jaguar. The F-Pace has a tall mesh grille and signature LED lighting, long vents that pierce the front fenders, and steeply tapered side windows. At the back there's a half-circle taillight that echoes the round light pipes on the XE and F-Type. For a British car, the F-Pace has a very Germanic feel inside. Big panels of piano black trim get thin metallic borders, with wood and ambient lighting framing the rest of the cabin. Touchscreens and digital displays set the tone, with top versions pairing a 10-inch center screen with a 12.3-inch screen sitting in front of the driver, replacing the usual gauges. Jaguar wants the F-Pace to rival SUVs like the Macan, the X3, and the GLC, so it's given the new crossover a lightweight aluminum body and plenty of power. The first pair of engines coming to the first Jaguar SUV will be supercharged V6s. In lower tune, the F-Pace kicks out 340 horsepower. In high-performance trim, it makes 380. That latter version, it's good for 60 miles per hour in about 5 seconds and a top speed of 155 miles per hour. Soon, a turbo diesel inline-4 will be available. With 180 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque, it'll hit 60 miles an hour in about 8 seconds. All F-Paces get a rotary-controlled 8-speed automatic and standard all-wheel drive. It's a new system that lets the power split from a heavy rear bias to a neutral split from the front to the rear wheels. That setup can constantly vary which wheels get power based on acceleration and cornering forces. The F-Pace has 8.4 inches of ground clearance and can wade through almost 2 feet of water, but it's no Land Rover. No, its prime mission is to ride and handle like a Jaguar, to be the most practical sports vehicle the brand sells. To that end, the F-Pace's control arm suspension gets optional adaptive dampers, and the electric power steering can change its ratios depending on the driver-selected mode. The F-Pace can also apply a brake to an inside wheel to tighten the cornering line. The result? Well, with the F-Pace, Jaguar's delivered an SUV with the sporting edge you'd expect from its name. There's a Teutonic feel in its tightly controlled ride and its linear progressive steering. The choice between the engines really does depend on where you drive. The F-Pace for the open road carries the supercharged 6. It's quick and it makes no bones about its sporting intentions. The V6 exhaust note is always present, and it can get a little tiresome. The optional 22-inch tires give great grip at some cost to ride quality. It's exhilarating, though not exhausting, to whip around a set of 16 hairpins as we cruise down into an achingly gorgeous ravine that looks like Europe's southernmost fjord. The turbo diesel version, and really any version with the standard 20-inch wheels and tires, well, they feel more relaxed on the road. The turbo diesel may be slower and passing power isn't overwhelming, but that diesel can trundle over rocky paths with the 800 RPM serenity of a Range Rover. It's smoother in power delivery, and, well, its steering feel is just plain better. There's not as much mass to move in those 20-inch tires and wheels, and the finer inputs, well, it responds better to them. Road manners are one thing, but SUVs also have to deliver on practicality, even if there's a leaper on the hood. The F-Pace holds up the utility end of the bargain with a 5-seat cabin good for as many adults. It sits between the XE and XF in size. It's roughly the same dimensions as an Audi Q5, and it has a high driving position for that commanding view of the road that draws drivers to SUVs in the first place. Interior space is fine with an inch to spare at least in all directions, even with tall drivers leaving room for tall passengers. But the F-Pace has very firm and flat seats, and they only have a little bit of lumbar adjustment. Jaguar's plushly padded past, that is long gone. The F-Pace cockpit makes some fiddly ergonomic choices, but in general it's a great place to work. The things that we have difficulty with are things like the strip of switches for driving modes. It's almost impossible to find and to flick without taking your eyes from the road. The available houndstooth metal trim doesn't work as well as the glossy piano black plastic. The cockpit, it can come off as stark and dark, so the lighter color choices work and look better. When you need room for more cargo, the F-Pace's second row seats split and fold 3 ways and power recline for road trips. The power tailgate opens with the wave of a foot, and there's a reversible cargo panel in case you're bringing home something very dirty. For safety, there's a slew of high-tech features. The F-Pace hasn't been crash tested yet, but it can be fitted with forward collision warnings with automatic braking, adaptive cruise control with stop-and-go control, lane keeping and lane departure warning systems, a laser projected head-up display, blind spot monitors with cross-traffic alerts, and automatic parking assistance. It all adds up to a right-on-target luxury SUV that does nothing wrong. But how does the F-Pace do in terms of stuff? Well, prices start at about $44,000, and standard gear includes the usual power features, Bluetooth, a USB port, satellite radio, and a touchscreen infotainment system. On higher trim versions, there's a bigger touchscreen for infotainment and navigation. In-car data services, an 825-watt Meridian sound system, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You could spend almost $60,000 on the F-Pace, and that's before the seriously powerful versions even hit the streets. So what's the bottom line for the 2017 Jaguar F-Pace? Well, it's a smart luxury crossover that puts just as much emphasis on sport as it does on utility. I'm Marty Paget. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.